We're having a snow day here in Alabama. It didn't snow very much, but we've got a little on the ground. It's not like what probably a lot of you guys got. So anyhow, it is kind of a different morning here. And Debbie says, "Good morning. I got my coffee." All right. Well, we're ready. I've got my coffee too. I've been ready to crochet for a while here, and I've just been having some mic difficulties this morning. So I don't know what that's about, but we're through it now, and hopefully everything sounds good and you all can hear me. So this morning I am working on the Quaking Aspen Chevron, and this pattern is the With Love pattern. Hey Esther, good morning. So you can kind of see it here. Let me zoom in on this so y'all can see it. So we're working with three different colors. The tan beigeish color that you see here is Karen 1 pound, and it is the colorway Off White. And it looks kind of beige. I was surprised that Off White is so off white, but it worked perfectly with this yarn. Now, this variegated yarn that we have here is the fabulous Super Saver Red Heart Deluxe, only the best for me here. And it is the colorway called Aspen Print. But it's a really kind of nice yarn. It's I really like how it looks. I think it's kind of fun colors, kind of rustic looking. And the green that I'm using is Red Heart Super Saver. I'm not going to pull the skein over. You guys can see it here. But this is Green Frost. And it does look like a frosty green here on a frosty morning. So that's what we're working with this morning. And I'm just alternating these colors. So basically, I'm doing 5 of the green, then I do 2 of the off white, then I do the variegated, which is the Aspen print, and then I do the off white again, 2 rows, and then back to the 5. And I just keep repeating that over and over and over again. And this pattern you guys have seen me do before. This is the With Love pattern. It's a snippet off this pattern. You can find this on the link tree. If you're watching me this morning on YouTube, there is a link in the description of the video. But instead of doing the lots of textures of the With Love pattern, I'm doing the very easy. I'm just repeating the first row. And I extracted that out and I made a easy diagram for us to follow. And it just basically shows when you repeat row 1 over and over and over again stacked how it looks. But this is what I'm following. Now, if you're not familiar with a chevron blanket goes up and down. So that's all this means. Chevron is a description of these little peaks and valleys. And I started with a repeat of 20. So basically what that means is I don't know why this screen is doing this weird thing on TikTok. I don't know what this thing is doing. Hopefully it's working and coming through okay. It's doing all sorts of flashing and stuff. So basically, guys, I chained 20. And then you ask yourself, is this wide enough? Yes or no? If the answer is no, you chain another 20. And now you have 40. And again, you ask yourself, is this big enough? Yes or no? If the answer is no, you keep adding 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, till finally you get to the point that it's big enough. And then you say, okay, it's big enough. I'm going to add 2. So for my lap blanket here, I'm using a size I9, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. And I'm making a 35 inches wide. So from here to here is 35 inches. And then I'm going to stack these rows on top of each other until I get to 45 inches. And so I did that 6 times. 6 times 20 is 120, and then I added 22. So that was my starting chain for this project. Then a lot of people have asked me, this chain of 3 here is your turning chain. Is that chain of 3 included in this count? It absolutely is. And so basically I did 122, and then I went back to the 4th chain on my hook, and that's where I started my double crochets. And now we go up and down. Now, if you are not familiar with how to read a diagram, um, you basically, this is the little legend over here on the left hand side. So you look for these stitches, this little oval, you come here and it tells you right here, this is a chain. Then you look at the ones that have, they look like little T's, but they have this little crosshatch on them. Again, you come over here and that tells me, aha, this is a double crochet. And then you see some other symbols here. This is a 3 together double crochet. I know that because I come here to the legend. Double crochet 3 together. And all this sounds really complicated, guys, but it is not. And I'm going to show you how to do these stitches. And then here is the mountaintop. And you can see on the mountaintop, there's 3 double crochets right into this one chain space. Okay. And so that is where we're going to do our increase. So let's get started here. And I'm going to walk through how many rows do you do of the variegated? I like to do 1 row of the variegated. You could do as many as you want. I just kind of personally like this look, and I've done this a number of times over on my YouTube. You can see the other variations that I've done. But these wheelchair blankets I'm making this year are for donation, and so I want them very quick and easy, and I don't have to think about them a lot. But I love playing with the different colors. And so basically, kind of what the method I use, I do 5 of the green or whatever color. Before I did purple, and then I did white, and then 2 of the lighter color, and then 1 of the variegated, and then back to 2 of the white, and then up here at the very tippy top, back to the green. And I just keep repeating that over and over again. The reason why I do 1 of the variegated is I personally don't like the look of multiple rows of variegated stacked on top of each other. I feel like it muddies it, is the best way I could kind of explain it. But it's a personal preference. You guys could do your colors however you wish. So basically, as we start crocheting here, I'm right at the tippy top of the mountain. And so you remember from our crochet diagram when we had 3 double crochets into 1 stitch, you can see them all in here. This is our mountaintop. So as we're doing our next mountaintop, we basically do 8. I'm having a hard time getting this on the TikTok screen here. 8 up the mountain, 8 individual double crochets. Then in the very center of our mountain is our new tippy top of the mountain. Okay, so right here, we're going to do 3 double crochets. Now, these do not go together. You're just putting 3 into this one stitch. This is in crochet what we call an increase. So basically, whenever you put more than 1 stitch into one, this forces this to kind of fan out. So if you're doing something like a shell stitch or something like that, a lot of times you'll put multiple stitches. This is what allows us to crest up and over the mountain. And now we're going to head down into the valley. So again, I got to adjust this, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not comfortable here today. That's a little better for me. Okay, so as we head down the mountain, we're looking for this landmark where you can see we did 3 together in the valley here. And we're going to do that again. But what you need to do is put 1. So as I work down the mountain, I'm looking for that landmark that's down in the valley. And that's where we're going to be putting 3 double crochets together. And again, like I said, that sounds kind of complicated, but it really is not. Let's see. Shailene, 5212, repeat. Yes, Shailene, that's exactly it. So counting these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And here is number 8. Okay. So we've done 8 double crochets as we've headed down the mountain. Now here we are to the valley and we're going to do 3 together. So what I like to do is kind of turn my work a little bit. And that way we can see our 3 stitches that we're going to be working into. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3. And the way we do this is we start with a double crochet into the first one. So I yarn over, go under the first stitch, grab up a loop, then I yarn over and pull through 2. Now this is where the magic is. Do not finish this stitch. You just hold it. And now what we're going to do is move to stitch number 2. We're going to start yet another double crochet. Yarn over, right under both bars, grab up a loop, again, yarn over, pull through two, and now again, holding. And then into the third stitch here, yarn over, again, start your third double crochet, yarn over, pull through two, and hold. So now you can see we have our starting loop. We have 3 unfinished double crochets, a total of 4 loops on the hook, on our hook, and we're going to yarn over and we're going to pull this one underneath all of them. So now you can see we had 3 double crochets, squish those up, and when we do this, this is all an illusion. It forces these stitches inward and then it pulls down on the stitches, which creates that little V. Okay, so that's how we do our little valleys. It's an illusion. Now we're going to head up the mountain. Okay, so up the mountain, again, I'm looking for the landmark here. The top of the mountain that we had before was our 3 into that 1 stitch. Again, the very center stitch here will be the new top of our mountain. So technically, right here should be stitch number 8. So I'm going to do 1 double crochet in each of those. 1 second here. My thumbnail is hanging up. Grabbing my yarn. I have to do a little maintenance here. Don't you guys hate that when your yarn like catches? And I really feel like I can't get my camera situated this morning very good. So let's see if that's any better. Mama's got to get comfortable here, guys. Let's see. Jen X says, I had to clear the dusting of snow off the steps and driveway yesterday. I wanted to cry. It was so cold. Brr. It's 33 here, so it's nothing like what you guys are getting up there north of me. And I know somebody was saying Montana got a lot of snow too. I know Montana's notorious for that. Um, I was going to mention yesterday, I think we had 3 people from Australia watching on the live yesterday. Did you all notice that? Jen X says it's only 9 here. Brr, that is so cold, Jen. So cold. Yeah, I think there was 9 people or 3 people from Australia yesterday. I thought that was so cool, and one of them said it was 1 a.m. when they were watching. Grace said it's -18 with the wind chill today. Oh my goodness, Grace, I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope you have a job or something that allows you to stay inside and stay bundled up because that is just too cold. Debbie says Louisiana is supposed to be 52 and 27 tonight. That's pretty cold, Debbie, for Louisiana, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's number 8. Bundle up. That's right. Bundle up. So again, here's our mountaintop. So stitch number 8 went right to the right stitch. Okay. Now here in the tippy top, we're going to put 3 double crochets right in the top. This is going to be our new mountain. This is our increase. And you subscribers, did you guys see the new sticker that I made that says up the mountain? I thought that was pretty cute because I do so many of these chevrons. I thought it was kind of a fun little sticker up the mountain. And then we have squish when April gets to the middle and squishes the stickers up. What I hate when it's cold and you've got that icy wind that comes and it just hits you just right. It's just that wind almost is the part that just really gets me. I really struggle with that when it's just that biting cold wind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's number 8. So now here we are to the valley. And I'm going to talk through these stitches, guys. We're coming up on the end here and we're going to be changing colors. So let's talk through how we finish the edge. So again, here we are at the very bottom of the valley. Turn your work and get an eye on the stitches that you're going to do. So here's 1, 2, 3. We need to do a 3 together double crochet. So I'm going to start by doing a double crochet here into the very first stitch. So we yarn over, again, go under both bars, grab up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now stop right here. Do not finish that stitch. Now you're going to move to the second stitch here. Again, yarn over, go under both bars, grab up a loop. Again, yarn over, pull through 2. Now again, holding. Now we're going to move to the third stitch right here, yarn over, again under both bars, grab up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, again holding. So we have our starting loop here on our hook, 3 unfinished down below, total of 4 loops on our hook. Now we're going to yarn over, we're going to pull this loop underneath all of these, squish them together. You want those to squish together. That becomes the valley. In crochet, this is what we call a decrease. So if you're somebody who's interested in getting into amigurumi, it uses a lot of these stitches that I'm using today where you do an increase and you do a decrease. So like if you're making a round sphere, right? As you start here in the middle, it's smaller and you get bigger, 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 bigger. So you do increases to increase this. Then as you head back up to the top of the sphere, like if you're doing, a head of a plushie, right? Then you start doing your decreases. So just like this, now in amigurumi, you use single crochets, but it's the same concept. So once you can understand how these stitches kind of work, you'd be able to do stuff like that. So basically, we took 3 individual stitches, 1, 2, 3. We squished them down and we made them into one stitch, and that's called a 3 together double crochet. Now we need to head up the mountain here. And again, when we head up the mountain, we need 8 double crochets, 1 into each of the spaces or into each of the stitches. I'm going under both bars. Nothing fancy, just double crochets. This is a very easy pattern once you kind of master the concept of how these peaks and valleys work. And hopefully after today, a lot of you guys have heard me talk about these a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I need one more here. And this stitch that you see right here, this is where I did my starting chain. So now I need number 8 into this starting chain. Now, here's the thing. When you do this blanket, if I put my hand here, do you see how the edge of this blanket is nice and straight here? And do you see how this stitch that we just did is leaning back? It's leaning away from the edge. The reason why is when you do the very final stitch here, or the final edge, you have to put number 9 right here into that exact same stitch. So you're actually going to put 2 stitches into the very last one. So when you end, and when you first start out, when we go back the other way, you're always going to have that extra stitch there. So once you pop that in there, do you see how that straightens that out and really makes it come together? That is how you do the edges. So on your pattern here, if you go back to your diagram, again, this little oval that you see here, right, is the chain. So when I did the first row, I put 2 double crochets into that chain. Now, as we work our way up, do you see how these 2 red stitches here are pointing to the blue stitch? Those 2 double crochets are going in the top of that last stitch. That's what we just did. You also see it here. We did this chain of 3 when we did it at the very beginning counts as a double crochet, but you'll see there's a second one in there. Same thing as we work our way up. You can see those 2 blue stitches pointing to the one red stitch means that you're going to put 2 in there. So when you start out, you're going to have 2. And when you end, you have 2, and that helps straighten that edge out, okay? I have not worked on any chevrons where I didn't see that you put 2 in the last stitch. They could be out there. I have not experienced those patterns. It's very common. So if you, for some reason, get off on your counts as you're doing this blanket, it happens to me all the time. I'll be watching TV, not paying attention. All of a sudden, I will be like, okay, something is going on here. Why are my counts so far off? You know? And then I'll double check. The first place I go is right back here. And this is where I have ended up missing a stitch, or it's when I turn my work, I'll have missed a stitch. So anyhow, that's where you should start if you get off on your counts. It's the first place I go to check that out. Hey, Carrie, good morning. Kimberly, thank you so much for the heart me this morning. Yes, Gen X says, stop here, do not pass go, do not collect 200. Right, my friend. I couldn't have said it better myself. So, one second here, guys. I gotta do something on my TV here. I gotta be able to watch my deer come in. I know you guys think I'm crazy. I have all these things happening as I'm crocheting, but um, we had a bit of snow here. It was really coming down at like I guess it was almost like 5 till 5. Well, our one dog, the genius that he is, was full on barking as loud as he could in the house this morning, and I was sound asleep. My husband was sound asleep. It was one of those barks that you like sit straight up in your bed and hubby grabs the you know what and goes to the door to see what is out there. It was one of those. There was nothing out there. He was just barking to hear the sound of his own voice. We couldn't see anything. Anyhow, 3 a.m., never fell back asleep. So I've been up for a while. Cheryl says, I'm working on a ripple that has two double crochets on each side. Two double, yeah, that's how this one is. So, two right here. I have two double crochets. Two double crochets. Now, guys, I'm going to change my color here. I've done two of the off-white color. The way that I change my color is instead of finishing this last double crochet like this, I leave it open. Then what I do is I take my next color of yarn and I then make a loop and I pull that loop through. Then I chain two, and that becomes how I tie on my yarn. Basically, I don't have to knot it. I go back and weave in these ends. You could totally tie off here as well, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Anvil says, poor baby, he was working hard. He thought he was working hard. I'll tell you, he really did think he was working hard, but man, it's going to be a long day today. Let me just say that. I need those hours of sleep. It's hard right now at work, let me tell you. I've got a lot going on with work. By the end of the day, I'm wiped out. So, but the good news is I did get we worked on this yesterday. You guys remember this little guy? I finished the one join that we were working on yesterday. I ripped out the entire seam that was the double crochet and I got that one fixed. So my little blanket now, I've got all 5 rows sewed together. So anyhow, I think it's looking so good. Look at how pretty it is. Isn't it cool? I really dig it. I dig it. So I did have a productive morning. Okay. So if he wakes me up like that or something wakes me up, guys, I just get up and crochet. Let's see. Question. I'm using markers, but my uh, blanket continues to getting narrow. Do you think it's a tension issue? So the first thing, Jess LK, is you have to make sure you have the right amount of stitches. So if you've counted all your stitches, and in this case I have 9 as we're starting out, then I have the decrease, then the 8. If all of those are accounted for, then I would think yes, it could be your tension as you're doing it. I Tension is a big thing when you're a new crocheter. It's the most difficult thing to master. And it just really comes to a lot of practice. We've all gone through it. Those that are just starting out are experiencing it. It's definitely something that um, we all struggle with. And so I would think it might be a tension thing. And make sure, guys, as you're doing your yarns, if you're mixing and matching yarns like this, make sure they're the same weight and the same type of yarn. Okay, that's the other thing. If you're new to crochet, you want to make sure. In this case, I'm mixing Karen 1 pound, which is a 4-weight acrylic, with Red Heart Super Saver, which is also a 4-weight acrylic, and I'm using a size I9 hook with all of my yarn. Now, when I look at the Karen 1 pound, here's my label from that yarn, off white. you can see the Karen 1 pound called for an H8 hook. And this one here calls for an I9 hook, a 5.5 millimeter. This one is only a 5 millimeter. So in this case, even though these are both 4 weights, you can see 4 and 4, I go with the bigger size. So I'm using a size I9 hook for this. And so make sure you're reading your labels also, just to kind of head off potential problems. Carrie said, I did start the chevron, got 15 rows in, hated my color choice, had to switch to a corner to corner. Hey, that happens. We all frog. If it's not turning out how you like it, just frog it out. Like I said, it happens to everybody. I've started stuff and it's like, ooh, I don't really like this. A lot of times, how your yarn works together is, is important, right? It could change the whole look of the pattern. Somebody mentioned earlier they'd really like the green that I chose. The other thing is you could maybe mix this with a brown. So if I was going to do this in a darker brown, do you see this color brown right here? This darker color? That is the other color choice that I would try. And I may do one of those later on down the road and just see how it changes the whole look of it to go from this green to more of a beige color, this brown. So you have to experiment with colors. It's a hard thing, matching up colors and figuring out what works. Shailene says, I love the mile a minute patterns. Yeah, they are really fun. I've never done one before. Let's see. Tension trick says Shailene, looser will always be better than tighter. Let's see. Dale says, are you counting the chain 2 as your stitch? I absolutely am. So I'm going to start this next row here. Okay. So what I did is I chained 2. So I was here. Okay. Here's my new color. I chained 2. This is going to count as my first double crochet. Turn my work. Now right into this same stitch here, I need another double crochet. So remember, whenever you're ending, you have here, I had 2 stitches. Now I have 2. So as you're starting out going down the mountain, we need 9 instead of 8. Okay, so I've got 2. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest now, but we need a total of 9. Jess says, "Thank you. Very new, kind of frustrating." Yeah, it is frustrating, but don't give up. Crochet can be the most rewarding thing, but it does take time and it does take practice and it does take patience. And there's sometimes I've tried to do stitches and it's like this doesn't work for me, and I'll switch to something else. I always have a lot of projects going. These guys will tell you I always have a lot on my hook. It's because I get frustrated or I get bored or I need a different challenge. And so then I'll go to a different project. That is how I combat some of that. And it just works for me. So you have to kind of figure out what works for you. But practice definitely. Lucky Mike says, I think that blue would also be nice. It would. It's kind of like what I would describe as a lake blue. It's kind of like a bluish green, but it's kind of like a lake blue color. I think it's really pretty. Uh, this is uh, this is a really fun yarn. I am enjoying it. This variegated yarn, if you missed it, is called Aspen Print. Okay, so let me count these. So we have our starting chain that counts as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, now we're ready to do our valley stitch here. Okay, so turn your work, get your eye on the prize here. We've got 1, 2, 3 stitches. We're going to do 3 together double crochets. So I'm going to start into this very first stitch a double crochet. I yarn over, go under both loops, grab up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, holding, do not finish. And into the second stitch here, yarn over, again, go under both bars, grab up a loop, yarn over, 2, pull through 2, again, holding. And into the third, yarn over, go under both bars, grab up a loop, pull through 2, again holding. So now we have our starting loop. We have 3 unfinished double crochets, total of 4 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through all 4. Squish those together. You can see they became kind of like a little triangle. Deborah said, I am diamond painting for a break from my crochet. That's a good idea too, to have multiple different uh, projects. You know, if you're a painter, or maybe you do macrame, or maybe you do household stuff, maybe you do canning, or something like that. There's lots of different outlets for creativity. I watch some people, I love to watch them color on TikTok. I know that sounds very strange, but some people like to do coloring. I have done coloring in the past. And I do have my little coloring books. I'll bust out my colored pencil or whatever, and do that. And so, anyhow, there is our valley. So here's a little mountaintop. Here's our valley. We've gone up the mountain. We've done 8 double crochets, one into each stitch. Now, again, we're looking for the landmark. This was our mountain of the row below. We had 3 double crochets right into this one stitch here. We're going to do the same thing. So again, here's the 3. Look for the very center. This should be our mountaintop. And into this one stitch, I'm going to place 3 individual double crochets. So this is what we call an increase. This allows us to go up and over the mountain. The stitches fan out and we can crest over the mountain. And again, head back down to the valley. We're going to do 8 double crochets as we head down the mountain. Shailene says, okay, so decrease 3, increase 3. Bingo, you got it. Absolutely right, Shailene. Hey, Nadia, good morning. Guys, thank you all so much for the screen taps this morning over on TikTok. I see 2.8 thousand hearts this morning. And for all the thumbs up over on YouTube, thank you all so much. I have seen some new followers pop up this morning, and I just wanted to take a minute and welcome everybody. For those that don't know, my name is April, and I am a hobby crocheter. I come on live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings at 7 Central Time, and I crochet till 8:30. I do have a full-time job. And at that time, I hop off and I work remote. I live in Northeast Alabama and I work in Arizona. So I just come on and chat with my crochet friends here and kind of share the different projects that I'm working with, share the, projects and patterns and all that good stuff. And anyhow, it's just a lot of fun. It's my kind of relaxing place in the morning before I have to go to work. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, here we are to the mountaintop. And I'm going to do 3 double crochets in the tippy top of the mountain. We'll talk more about these stitches in a little bit and kind of do some catching up here with you all. But we did get a little bit of snow here last night in Alabama. We're about an hour south of Chattanooga. And I love the fact that we have 4 seasons here. So, we do have spring, summer, fall, winter. Uh, but when we say we have winter here, it's not like we get a foot of snow, right? We get, this morning it snowed for like 25 minutes and then stopped. And so for me, that is a nice little balance. We get a little taste of everything, but not too much of any one thing. So before I lived in Arizona, in Phoenix there, shoot, in the summer we'd be pushing 120 degrees there. And I know a lot of you guys are still in Arizona. And it's pretty darn hot. Some of y'all have been saying it's negative 18 where you're at this morning. That's pretty darn cold. It's 33 where I'm here in Alabama. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we really do love it. We moved here 4 years ago, and it's just been life changing for me and my husband. And so I just love coming on and crocheting. Let's see. So, hey, Sonia, good morning. Let's see. Shailene says for a more or less drastic chevron, all you do is do a change and a decrease and increase. That is so cool. Yeah, that, and I'm working on another one. I'm going to have another pattern for you guys. I don't know if I can reach it here. Let me see. Let me pull my cart over and see if I can reach it. reach through my swinging cart of yarn here. Here's another one that I've started. And this one's more like a rolling hill. This one's going to be coming in the next few weeks. But for this one, you can see here the mountaintop. I did it more like the modern chevron that Amanda Crochets did, but I changed up the counts because I wanted it to follow the exact pattern that I'm doing. So instead of, she has different counts as you go up and down the mountain. I'm doing 8. So basically, I'm doing 8, and then I'm doing 2 and 2. And then when you're down at the valley, you can see here, I'm doing 2 together and 2 together. So it's just like that, but it makes it more rounded. So just like what you were saying, Shailene, this is not so steep of a mountaintop. So anyhow, we'll have this one coming, uh, in the next couple weeks. Let me try to throw that up there. I moved my yarn cart back too soon. Jody says, "Does anyone know of a yellow duck motif for a baby blanket?" Um, I do not. But did you look on YouTube? Try YouTube. Just put in crochet duck motif and see what comes up. That's what I do. Hey, Karen. Good morning. Let's see. Donna said, so it's a double. It's 8 double, then 3 in 1, then 8 again, and so on. Yes, that is absolutely right, Donna. So as I go up the mountain, I'm doing 8. In the tippy top of the mountain, I'm doing 3 crochets, double crochets. Then I go 8 down the mountain, and then I do 3 together in the valley. And we're going to do this a lot more. Let's see. What size hook are you using? I'm using an I9, and I can't remember. I'm going to look here. I'm going to cheat and look because I don't know the little millimeters. An I9 is a 5.5 millimeter. That's what I'm using today. I9 5.5 millimeter. Sandy said, what colors did you use on the blue blanket? Um, I think I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. I know it's Big Twist is the blue, and I think it is I don't remember. It's too far away for me to reach. Um, I know the variegated is blue raspberry, Karen 1 pound, and then white super saver. But the blue, I want to say it's teal, but I don't think it's teal. That doesn't sound right. Um, I'll eventually have that whole pattern on the link tree and stuff, but it won't be the rest of this week or next week. It'll be the following week. So stay tuned. I'm going to have it coming here. I'm still working on the diagram for that one. Hey, Maggie, good morning. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're doing chevron blankets today. Um, uh, Guys, if you don't know the backstory of why I'm doing all these wheelchair blankets, I will share with you all. So the reason why I'm doing the wheelchair blankets this year, I always do a lot of blankets for donation. Um, my father passed December 21st this past year. So we lost him right before Christmas. My dad was an Army vet, and he was very proud of the fact that his daughter made veterans blankets to give to the guys. During the time that he was sick, he spent a lot of time at the VA hospital, and there was volunteers that would come through, and it was a good supporting community for my dad when he needed it the most. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. And so, in his memory, the morning of his passing, he passed very early that morning, and my dad was suffering from cancer. He was 82, and it doesn't make it any easier. We've all lost uh, family and friends, and it's a hard thing. The way that I express myself and relax and do all these things is through crochet. And so that morning I started crocheting a pattern, and it is called the With Love pattern. And I've shared it a number of times here with you guys on the live. And basically, it's lots of rows of texture stacked up, and it is a chevron, and it's a repeating. So I can repeat this. So I've made the American flag, or the American Patriot blanket. You can find it on my YouTube. I've worked on a number of different ones of these that I use all the textures, right? There are some times where I'm not in the mood to do all the textures, right? I just want something easy. And so what I did is, instead of doing all these rows where I'm doing doubles and singles and crisscrosses and all this, I am just doing row number one. So I separated that out and I made the easy with love, if you will, where all I'm doing is repeating the double crochet row over and over again. This way I don't have to think about all the textures. It's kind of a nice break, and I can produce these a lot faster, but sometimes I do want to do the fancier texture ones. So I kind of have both options. Now, I also, the blue one that I just showed you, I'm changing this up so that it's not as steep of a chevron. It's going to be more like a rolling hill. Okay. So not such a mountain, but a rolling hill. And I'll have that one for y'all in a couple weeks. And so that's kind of why I'm doing these blankets. Now, if you're wondering, where am I going to donate these blankets to? There is an organization that's based out of Texas. And oh gosh, the name is totally, I'm drawing a blank on the name. You guys help me. Warm Up America. It's called Warm Up America. And it's a great program. There are links on my link tree. If you are not interested in making full blankets like I'm doing, they take a specific size. Everybody makes the size, and they send it in, and then they have volunteers that sew together the blankets, and they go to homeless and veterans and those in need. And it's a wonderful program. Now here's the thing: I'm in Alabama and they're in Texas, so the cost for me to ship these blankets would be kind of expensive, because my goal this year, in memory of my father, is to donate one veteran's blanket or wheelchair blanket a month this year. Now, or more. If I can do more, I'll do more. I'm mixing it up with other projects, but that is my personal mission in memory of my father. And that's why you're seeing me make a lot of these different blankets. So, part of Warm Up America, I found on their site, there is a list for Sabre Healthcare. Sabre Healthcare has facilities that are over here closer to me. Okay, so they have facilities that are up in Pennsylvania. They have some that are, um, I believe, in the Carolinas, and there's none that I saw in Alabama, but it's a lot cheaper for me to ship to, Carolina or Kentucky than it is for me to ship to Texas. And there's all the different facilities on their spreadsheet. They have, if they're looking for wheelchair blankets, or if they're looking for veterans blankets. Now, there's no description on what's the difference between a veterans blanket or a wheelchair blanket. So my interpretation of that is possibly colors, right? To me, a red, white, and blue blanket that's still a wheelchair blanket is now a veterans blanket. The last I looked at their spreadsheet, they, across all their locations, they were looking for like 1,500 blankets. Um, I could crochet the rest of my life and never supply enough blankets for Sabre Healthcare and all of the um, blankets that they're looking for. And so somebody mentioned that they donate to retirement or nursing homes. It's the same concept. I believe the facilities are like um, assisted living type facilities. My dad did spend time in assisted living, along with being at the veterans at the VA hospital. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. So that's kind of, what I'm doing. Now, I also make a lot of baby blankets, and those I donate. If they're not going to family and friends, I donate them down to my sister-in-law is a NICU nurse down in Pensacola, and I send my baby blankets when she comes to visit. I just load her up and she takes them down there, and she takes them to the families that are unfortunately spending time in the NICU with their children. And so that's just kind of my little way to give back. So this is not the last time you're going to see a chevron. worked on by me here on the live. There's going to be a lot of them this year, and if you guys want to make a chevron, it's great. Whatever you want to do. But as I'm working on these, I just come on and kind of share what I'm doing and what's happening. So anyhow, I hope that helps to explain. Hey, Marta, good morning. Let's see. Anvil says, I'm fixing coffee now. Nice, nice. Shailene says, coffee here. I got my coffee this morning. I traipsed through the snow and filled the bird feeders. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. And then I made my coffee. Now you can hear the dogs have had their breakfast this morning and they're over there barking. If you hear little barks happening, that's our puppy and our dog that are playing. They're up from their morning nap. So as we work towards the edge of this chevron here, I'm going to talk through these stitches, okay? And kind of as we get to the end here, I'm going to be changing colors. So as you're going up and down, this is called a chevron, okay? A chevron describes uh, the shape, okay? So I call it going up and down the mountain. So when we're here in the valley, we do a 3 together double crochet. Then as I go up the mountain, we do 8 double crochets, 1 in each stitch. Then when I get to the tippy top of the mountain, you can see here, this is the mountaintop of the row below. We did 3 double crochets right into 1 stitch. So now my next mountaintop, I just finished, and you see how I did 3 into this 1 stitch here? This is what you call an increase. And an increase, basically, these stitches fan out. It allows us to go up and over the mountaintop and crest over. So now as I head down to the valley, I'm looking again for my landmark. So you can see this right here is where we had 3 together of the row below. And I'm going to do 8 double crochets, 1 in each stitch. As we go down, I'm going under both loops, okay, both bars. Nothing fancy. I'm just putting 1 double crochet into each one of them. So as I go up the mountain and down the mountain, they always have 8. And I do try to count these as I go along just so that I can keep my place and, try to keep on top of that. Okay. I want my stitch counts to be accurate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more. Here is number 8. Okay, so now again, you can see here's our valley stitch. You kind of have to turn this work a little bit so you can see the tops of your stitches. Here's where I just finished the 1, and then we're going to get ready to do the next 3 here. So you can see 1, 2, 3 stitches. We're going to do a 3 together double crochet. Now that sounds super complicated. Fear not, I'm going to show you it's very easy. So into this first stitch, we're going to make like we're doing a double crochet. You yarn over, again, go under both loops, grab up a loop. Now you yarn over and pull through 2, and this is the magic. Do not finish. You just hold this stitch. Just keep it here on your hook. You're going to collect these little loops up. Then you're going to move to the second stitch here, and again, you're going to start yet another double crochet. This is number 2. Grab up a loop, again, yarn over, pull through 2. Do not finish, holding. And then you look for the third stitch and again start a double crochet right into that third stitch. Grab up a loop, again yarn over, pull through 2. So now you can see we have our starting loop here on the right. I have 3 unfinished double crochets, total of 4 loops up on top. Now I'm going to yarn over. We're going to pull this loop under all these at once. You want those to squish together. Okay. When you squish those in crochet, we call that a decrease. It forces, you're taking 3 stitches and you're turning them into 1 stitch. And that's what causes that to be kind of a little triangle. So as we're going up and down, when those squish together, it forces those stitches to pull in, and that's what creates that little valley. Okay. So now we're going to head up the mountain. And when we go up the mountain, again, we need 8 double crochets, 1 into each of the stitches. So here's number 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's number 7. Now, number 8, do you see this turning chain that we had here? This is where we're going to put the number 8 stitch. Okay, so I'm going to go again, yarn over, do a double crochet just right into the top of that chain 2 that we did. So that's number 8. Now here's the thing, when you work on a chevron blanket, okay, you can see here my edges of my blanket are nice and straight as we head up. However, do you see how this one is leaning back and it's not touching my hand? Whenever you do a chevron like this, this particular pattern, you have to put number 9 right here into the very last one. So instead of ending with 1, we're going to end with 2. So pop in stitch number 9. When you do that stitch number 9, it forces these stitches, it forced it to straighten up. Now you can see magically it's touching my hand. So that's how we finish that stitch, okay? Now I'm ready to go back to working our white colored yarn. This is an off-white yarn, and I'll run through all these colors here in just a minute. If you're just joining, I'll run through the pattern details as well. Let's get our color change happening here. So let me snip off here where I left off. This white yarn that I'm using it's actually Karen Jumbo, excuse me, Karen 1 pound, and it is the colorway off white. Okay, so that's what this beige looking yarn is that I'm using. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to uh, start this new color. So what I like to do, I don't like to finish this stitch. I pull this back out and then I loop this yarn through and pull it up. And then I do my chain of 2. Now, here's another important part when you're working on stitches like this is turning chains, okay? Sometimes turning chains are included in patterns and sometimes they are not. In this particular pattern, this turning chain counts as my first stitch. Sometimes patterns will call for a turning chain of 2. Sometimes patterns will call for a turning chain of 3. I want to show you guys how come I only do a turning chain of 2. So you can see right here, I have 1 and 2. I'm going to add a third stitch here. Okay, so that is a turning chain of 3. I'm going to turn my work, flip my blanket over, flip our little blankie, and now right into this first stitch here, I need a double crochet. Okay, this turning chain that we just made, this one here counts as my first double crochet. Then I have to work down the valley here as we do our next double crochets. But here's what I want to explain. As I'm doing this, do you see how these here are nice and tight against the edge of the blanket, nice and straight? When you do a turning chain of 3, do you see how mine loops out here and it kind of leaves this space here? This is where you, as the yarn fiber artist, have to start experimenting and making decisions about your crochet. I personally do not like how a chain of 3 looks because of how it bows out. I prefer for it to be nice and straight like this. So that is why I do a chain of 2. Again, not everybody crochets the same. Some people prefer a chain of 3. So keep that in mind. If you are working on a project and all of you start getting these loops and you're like, why is it doing that? I don't like how that looks. You might want to try a chain of 2. So I'm going to reduce this down one, pop one of these out. Now I'm going to go right back and put my double crochet back in here and you will see the difference. Do you see how that sucked up in tight and now it's like falling much nicer into my project? Isn't that cool? Very, very cool. So that is one thing to keep in mind as you're crocheting. There are no rules, right? You have to experiment and sometimes you have to make modifications as you go along the pattern. Now, here's the thing. As we're doing the edges of this blanket, as we go up and down the mountain, you've heard me say that there is a 8 double crochets up and down the mountain. But as you saw when I turned it from before and we did the edge below, that stitch was leaning. So we had to put in stitch number 9. So when you start your next row out here, you also need 9 stitches. So this turning chain that I made of 2 counts as my first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now I'm ready to start the valley. So on both ends, you're going to have 9 instead of 8. But in the middle here, I'm going to have 8, then my mountaintop, 8 down, and so on. Okay, so just bear in mind. Now that is reflected on the pattern. Okay, so this is the pattern. Guys, if you are new to my channel, I've seen a lot of new followers popping up. Welcome, welcome. Whenever I come live, I put links for everything on my link tree. You can find the link tree under my profile on TikTok. So click on the little dog up here. Bar will fly up the bottom. Click on that again. Look below where it says I'm an Alabama girl that likes to crochet. There's a thing called an HTTPS link tree. And you will find everything I'm working on today on that link tree. You'll also find upcoming projects if I have them prepared and what is been done in the past. So you can see right here where we did our 2 double crochets. This is what we just did here. So we did the chain of 2 counted, or the chain of 2 counted as my first double crochet. Then I did a second one right into that one stitch and then heading up and down. There is a link to this PDF on my link tree. If you're watching me this morning on YouTube, you can find this diagram. There's a link in the description of the video. Basically, the way that you do this is a repeating pattern, okay? So I started with a chain of 20 and I asked myself, I chained 20 and I said, is this big enough? Yes or no? If the answer was no, I added another 20. So I did 20, 20, 20, 20, till finally I said, okay, I think this is big enough. Then I added 2. So the way that that math worked out for me, I'm making a 35-inch wide wheelchair blanket. I did a starting chain of 122. So exactly what that means is I did 20 6 times. 20 times 6 is 120, and then I added 2. Now, where you see this chain of 3, that is included in that count. And guys, here's another weird thing about my crocheting. When I do the first row, I like to have a chain of 3. So we're talking about way back here at the very beginning when I first started. I think it's the other edge. I'm going to get this all twisted up now. But this was our foundation chain here, okay? And you can see when I got to the end here, I like to do a chain of 3. If I do 2 right here when I'm first starting out, it pulls this up too tight. And so I do like a turning chain of 3 on that very first row. So basically that chain of 3 is right here. That's what you're seeing right here. And then I did a double crochet into the back bump of the 4th stitch. So my 4th stitch from the hook is where I did that. And I worked my way along, just working in the back bump, following the diagram. And I'm just stacking these rows on top of each other over and over and over again. So I hope that helps uh, kind of explain how I started this out. And I am using an I9 crochet hook this morning, which is a 5.5 millimeter. And the yarn that I'm using this morning, I'm going to get back on track here. This off-white color is Karen 1 pound. In the colorway off-white. This green that you see here is Red Heart Super Saver, and it is the colorway Green Frost. And the variegated that you see here is also Red Heart Super Saver, and this is the colorway Aspen Print. And so anyhow, I've just kind of matched these colors up. But the way that I like to do my chevrons for this particular size is I do 5 of the green, then I do 2 of the lighter color, then I do 1 of the variegated, and back to 2 of the white or off white, and then back to 5 of the color. So basically this section ends up being 5, 2, 2 plus the 1 is 5, and then this is 5. And I just repeat stacking these on top of each other until I get to 45 inches. Wheelchair blankets, a great size for those is 35 by 45. I've gotten my yarn tangled up here. Hang on. This is going to cause me problems. Let me unwind this here. I think I need it like this. I don't know if that, I think I did it the wrong way. Goodness gracious. Let me see here. Okay. Let me go backwards. Okay, one more. Oh, the challenges of crochet, huh? I'll get this hung back up on my rack. Okay. So now I think I have this undone. Oh, I know what I just need to move this over here. Here we go. I got it now. Uh, let's see. Sorry guys, I got a bit behind on the comments. Let me catch back up. I'm cracking myself up over here. The crochet challenges we have. Just one second. Let me go back and try to catch up. My bottom chain for this was 122 is how I did this blanket. 122 for my wheelchair size. Um, so anyhow, sorry, I'm just chuckling. It's the strangest things that get me to laugh at myself. We all have to laugh at ourselves sometimes. This is what keeps life light, right? Let's see. Somebody started a new book. Wait, I got to see who's reading what. Haley said patterns are so confusing. Well, hopefully, as I'm explaining it, it kind of makes more sense. Now, guys, if you don't know, I am live streaming this morning on YouTube and on TikTok. And by tomorrow, this video will be back over on YouTube under my live tab, and you could go back and rewatch this if you need help with it. Feel free to message me too if you have questions. Lots of people reach out and DM me. You could also get on the Crochet Discord. There is a link on the link tree. The Discord is our online chat server, so you can share pictures of your work in projects and everything. Spunky Husky, good morning. The pattern is linked in the description of the YouTube video that you are watching. And it's also on my link tree if you can't find it in the description there. It is a PDF that is linked on my Dropbox. I'm a hobby crocheter. I'm not really a pattern maker, guys, but I do read diagrams. I can't read a pattern. So if you're not familiar with me, a written pattern, I am not able to understand and read. I've been crocheting for 40 years. I've always just kind of winged it. Susan said she finished the Nightingale book. So good. The Nightingale is by Kristen Hanna. I highly recommend that book as well. It's a really, really good book. It's you definitely have to have your tissues though. Okay. Uh, can you please show what this would look like in writing 2 double crochets? Um, instead of 3, Karina, do you mean instead of 3 here with in 2? I'm working on a pattern for this. So the new one that I'm making, this one right here. So I'm working on writing a diagram. Do you see how this one has 2 double crochets? So it's more of a rolling hill. I will eventually have, that's why we aren't doing this one right now. I need some time. I'm working on this one and I'm going to write a diagram for you guys and I'll come on the live and I'll share it just like I do all these other ones. But that one's going to come not next week, the following week. I'll probably do it on that Monday and I don't know what that date is. Let's see. Susan says, I wish you were my neighbor so we could sit together and crochet. I know, right? Um, Thank you so much. That's a nice compliment. It would be fun. Sometimes people do want to have crochet groups, and sometimes if you're in a community that has a yarn store. So, for example, the big city that's closest to me is called Gadsden, Alabama, one of the big cities. And down in Gadsden, there is a yarn shop that's called of the U, EWE, in other words, lamb, wool, yarn. It's a very cute little shop. And she has like a needle click, a sewing group that you could go in on certain days. And there's just a group of ladies that are there. There might be men too. Every time I've passed through there, it's always just been ladies. But they're sitting together and crocheting and just chatting, and they have a little spot of tea, and it's just a nice, relaxed environment. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. That's about an hour away from me. Where I'm at, they don't really have anything like that. And so, but definitely, if you're in a larger city, you might want to check out your local yarn or fabric store. Sometimes they have groups that do meet. And I know Mama Wheeler, my mom, I don't think Mama Wheeler's on the live this morning, but down in Florida with her retirement community, they have a little needle click that they meet, I believe, twice a month. And Mama Wheeler's part of that. She just takes her embroidery and goes over to the needle click. Sometimes she takes her crochet, and she just visits with everybody. And it's a nice, I think it's only for an hour, and everybody just kind of relaxes. And they have like a community yarn box there. You bring yarn, you take yarn, that kind of thing. So those are really a nice way to. If you have something like that in your area. Now, I live in a pretty small town. The town that I'm in is only 5,000 people. We don't have any yarn stores. The closest Walmart is 15 minutes away. We don't really have any big box stores. It's a rather small town. And because I relocated here from Arizona, I don't really know a lot of people. And for me, I don't have a circle of crochet friends or anything like that, right? And I have crocheted just sitting here in my chair for a really long time. And I started coming live back in July. And whether you like it all or not, y'all are my needle click, right? So I sit here and crochet and chat with you guys, and you all have become my crochet friends and my little, needle group, my little needlework group. So it's a lot of fun, and I appreciate each and every one of you that come here and watch April, crochet on her couch. Thank you so much for the heart me. Appreciate that. And thank you guys so much for tapping your screens this morning and liking the live. I really appreciate that. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. I'm going to talk some more about these stitches here in just a minute. Um, so let's see. Karina says, okay, I have to look later today. It's 1:04 a.m. Karina, where are you at that it's 1:04 a.m.? Are you one of our Australia friends? We had 3 Australia friends here yesterday. Susan says, thank you, April. You have inspired me to crochet today. Susan, that is why I do this. That is why I do this. 4J Group says, I can read patterns, but not diagrams. Well, I talk a lot about diagrams here on my lives. So you might be surprised with yourself. Maybe in a few months, you might be saying, April taught me how to read diagrams. I don't know if I'm going to be able to say you taught me how to read a pattern because I'm kind of hard headed, but it's possible. There are some people here who a few months ago could not read a diagram, and they will tell you I can read a diagram because of what I learned watching April's live. So it's a pretty cool thing. Um, let's see. It's the pattern shorthand, but one lady explained you can't read them. Yeah, I have to watch a video or something. Yeah, Shailene says tip for beginners. The up and down becomes more defined by each row. By row 5, you should see the angle. Yeah, so this up and down is what Shailene's talking about. When you first start out, your very bottom row here, when you first do this, it's not as pronounced, okay? It lays a little flatter. You can still see where these stitches are, but it's not as like spiked down, I guess you could say. Gen X says our library has groups that meet. That's really cool. Karina says I meet my group on Facebook. Nice, nice. Missy says the local bookstore has meetups. That is very cool. Shailene says, I live in a town of 12,000, so I feel you. Time check 8:17. I can't believe it. Hey, Mrs. Tommy, good morning. How are you? Let's see. Ray, thank you. Maggie is here this morning, guys. Maggie is an amazing TikTok creator. She has a YouTube as well. Maggie Magical Unicorn. If you guys are not following Maggie, she is one of my friends here, and I really enjoy watching her lives. Maybe you could pin her comment. She crochets at different times than I do, but you will not be disappointed. Uh, Seriously, give Maggie a follow. She does lots of community blankets where you can send in like granny squares, and she sews them together on the live. And she's been working on a lot of scarves lately. But I promise, she's definitely one to watch here on TikTok. Very, very enjoyable live. So if you like watching me, I know you'll like watching Maggie. So feel free and give her a follow if you would. Um, Guys, also, we haven't done this in a while, but I know a lot of you are trying to go live on TikTok yourself. So I don't know what the latest count is, if it's 1,000 or 500. I can never keep up. But if you are looking to grow your channel, and you want to get new followers here, if you want to, support each other, feel free to do that. Just spam the chat with yarn balls. You could put the little yarn ball icon on here, and if you see that, then you could pick those people up and follow them back and support each other. There's lots of room on TikTok for all creators. We all have different personalities. We all have different presentation styles. I'm here to encourage you guys to grow the crochet community, to support each other. It's not about me and my little live. It's about us and everything we do every morning on the live, right? And the support we give to each other. So I'm definitely about supporting the crochet community, and you all have become friends with each other too. Some of y'all were friends before I came into the picture, and so it's very cool. I think this crochet community, both on TikTok and over on YouTube, is one of the most beautiful little communities. Knock on wood, we never have problems with like spammers or that kind of stuff. It's just a very fun, relaxed place where we can all visit and talk about crochet. It's a beautiful thing. So I really appreciate each and every one of you being here with me. I am getting some time checks this morning, so I want to talk some more about these stitches as I kind of head off into the wild blue yonder. I do have to go to work this morning, and I can't stay late today. My emails are already overflowing. I did a little sneak peek before I came on the live. So I am a hobby crocheter, if you guys don't know me. And I do work full time. I work remote, and I'm in the graphics and printing business. I do primarily wholesale graphics, so lots of big printing where we do, banners and that kind of stuff. Thank you so much for the gifts, Gen X girl. Appreciate that. Knocking out that live goal. And it's a fun business, but right now is a busy time of year. The weather is kind of nice in Arizona. Those that live in Arizona can kind of back me up on this, but spring in Arizona is absolutely beautiful. Now, I know they had a day or so of rain, but it's probably in the 70s or 80s there this week, I'm guessing. And it's the time that all the conventions are in town, and spring training for baseball is happening. They have things like the Phoenix Open. I don't know if the Phoenix Open already happened, but lots of events and stuff that happen in Phoenix. So, because of what I do for a living, is very much tied to that. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. It's a super, super busy time of year for me. Now, in the summer, when it's 120 and blazing hot, it's not as busy. That's a slower time of year for me. So, anyhow, I do have to make sure I'm off on time to go to work. But Waste Management Open was last weekend. Okay, I know we did a bunch of printing for that. Um, I try to keep track of the events, but like right now for my printing, I'm working on stuff for like that's going to be displayed like in the end of March, early April. So the printing business kind of people print ahead of time. So it kind of makes me lose track of that type of stuff. I live on a printing schedule. Hey Sparky, good morning. So anyhow, this pattern that I'm working on, guys, today, if you're just coming on, or if you're watching in the wings, that's okay. It's okay to watch silently. I watch a lot of people silently sometimes because I'm working and I can't interact with the chat. So that's totally welcome here as well. The pattern that I'm working on today is the With Love, and it's a chevron pattern. There is a link on my link tree, but this pattern goes up and down. If you are watching in the wings, if you want to, now's your chance to give a follow. I'm going to be signing off here soon, both on TikTok and over on YouTube. But this pattern basically goes up and down. And we're going to be talking about this a lot over the next year. So don't fret if you have missed out on this live today. You have a couple different options. You could go on the link tree and download the pattern. It's a diagram. I don't write patterns, but I have a written diagram, and it will display to you how these stitches go up and down. It looks like this. Okay, so that's what you're looking for. It's the With Love pattern, and it's linked on the link tree. If you're watching on YouTube, it's in the description of the video. Also, after I'm done with the live, within a little after 24 hours, it takes 24 hours for the video to process. Then I republish back out over onto YouTube the live today. So it's not like a clinical tutorial like, Crystal does at Bag a Day or Mikey does. It's me sitting here on the couch crocheting and chatting with you guys. But you can go back and rewatch those videos. Now, because they are live events on YouTube, instead of looking on the video tab, you have to go to the live tab. The last time I did this chevron blanket, there is a pink version on the. Uh, I worked on that 2 days. If you are looking for the very start, beginning to finish, look for the pink chevron blanket. And I honestly don't remember what I called that, but you'll see it right there on that tab. And you can watch it on your TV. It's in landscape, so it goes like this for your TV. And you could also watch it on your computer. You can fast forward, rewind it, but it's me working on that blanket. And it is from the very start. And I worked on it 2 different days. So that is over on my YouTube as well. But if you are a new follower here, I just wanted to say thanks for finding me this morning and welcome to our little community. I will be back tomorrow. I'm going to pin off here. Tomorrow, I am working on a baby blanket that I've got in the works. And this is what the blanket looks like. And I'm going to be working on this tomorrow. If you guys are interested in tuning in, I will be back at 7 Central Time and working on this. And I already think I put links on the link tree for this, but this should be a fun day tomorrow as we're working on bright, fun colors. Possibly some of y'all sitting in the snow. So, anyhow, I hope to see you all tomorrow. Thanks again, new friends. Thanks, all the OGs who are here every day with me. I hope you all have a fabulous day. Stay warm if you have snow in your area, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.